It's an unpredictable world, as you never know when you'll be hit with unforeseen costs. Even if you are frugal with your money and have a strong sense of saving, you are not immune to the unforeseen. The emergency fund comes in helpful in this situation. If you are having trouble paying your bills or are unable to meet unexpected expenses, you may benefit from having an emergency fund. So, what exactly is an emergency fund and why should you know about them? It is a bank account that holds money that has been put aside to pay for huge and unexpected bills, such as unexpected medical expenses, repair or replacement of household appliances, unemployment, and others. In this video, we'll go over 5 things you need to know about emergency funds. Welcome to the channel, and before we get started with the video, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. Number 5. Remember your emergency fund's purpose. Even if you're succeeding in building an emergency fund, forgetting what it's for might jeopardize your hard-won financial success. All of your funds are there for a reason, or to assist you in achieving a goal. Keeping such goals in mind will help people keep on track in the future. You get into difficulties where you lose sight of why you're saving that money or what the money is supposed to be used for. The objective of emergency funds is to keep you afloat financially in tough times. Using that money on anything else, such as a trip or a wedding, might put you in a financial bind if something goes wrong. Staying on track means recognizing and adhering to the emergency criteria. Despite what one individual considers an emergency might not be an emergency to another. You must remember that a purchase isn't a last-minute decision. It's typically not an emergency to want to go out of town for the weekend. Setting money away for such objectives in a separate account is a good idea, but using your emergency fund to cover them isn't. If you're honest about what constitutes an emergency for you, you'll be able to depend on your emergency fund for years to come. Number 4. Put it in a savings account with a high interest rate. Your emergency fund should be liquid, but it should not languish. Make in mind that the value of your money may depreciate if inflation develops, and strike a balance between this worry and the need to keep your money accessible. After all, that's what an emergency fund is for. It is usually recommended putting an emergency fund into a high-yield savings account, such as SoFi Money, where you have very rapid access to the money and are ideally generating as much interest as possible. Savings account interest rates have plunged as a consequence of the coronavirus epidemic and ensuing economic crisis. What has once considered decent rates are now difficult to get by. Look for the best rate you can find and conduct some research on the institutions that had the best rates prior to the epidemic. They'll probably offer those high rates again at some point, and your money will be ready to earn interest. Number 3. It has to be liquid. Some individuals invest their money while others keep it hidden beneath the bed. Whatever you do, keep in mind that the money must be liquid. If calamity strikes, a layoff, a sudden sickness, a vehicle breakdown, you'll want to be able to get your money fast and without paying costs. It's okay if you have 6 months worth of costs saved but 3 months invested. As long as you have access to a significant sum of money when you need it, it's fine. You want to be certain that your money is safe, as it would be in the stock market, for example. CDs, low-risk investments, Roth IRAs, and other popular options for emergency fund storage are all popular choices, but saving accounts are better for the most convenient access to your money. Number 2. 3 to 6 months worth of expenses is still the standard benchmark. For years, the most typical objective of a completely stocked emergency fund has been to save the equivalent of 3 to 6 months worth of spending, and this is still the case according to Anastasio. When individuals are attempting to find out what's acceptable, it has been default approach for many years, and it is still appropriate for the majority of the people. One thing to remember is how they define an emergency and whether they have specific circumstances that could make something like 8 to 12 months more acceptable. This is when your financial situation's context comes into play. Most individuals can get by with 3 to 6 months worth of cost in saving, rent or mortgage, vehicle payments, bill, food, etc. But someone who is the primary provider for his or her family is self-employed or has the persistent medical condition may benefit from a bigger emergency fund. However, any savings are preferable to none. If you can't save enough for 3 months worth of costs, aim for 1 month's worth. Even a few $100s set aside as a rainy day fund is preferable to nothing. If you already have an emergency fund, consider adding it to protect yourself from any unexpected costs. Number 1. To strive toward, you'll need a savings goal. It should also be specific. It's not enough to tell yourself you're simply trying to save money. Make a small but reasonable emergency fund saving target for yourself. Write it down and work towards it. You may increase it as required after you attain it or come near. The key thing is to set a target. It's easy to have a goal in mind when you're saving because it guarantees that you stick to your plan to save for whatever the goal is. Individuals tend to derail and justify spending more money now rather than ensuring that money is set aside for something specific once they lose sight of what they're seeking to achieve by saving. Having a savings goal or a financial goal, or whatever you want to call it, may keep you motivated and on track, much as setting a fitness goal to run a race or lift a specific amount of weight might. It should ideally be explicit. I'm attempting to save $1,000 is much more motivating than I'm attempting to save for an emergency fund. Yes, mindset matters. Some banks or financial firms offer free one-on-one coaching sessions with experienced advisors who can help you prioritize your saving objectives. If you're having trouble with this, seeing whether your bank provides this service may help you get started. An emergency fund goes by many names, but it's a financial need for anybody seeking financial security without having to depend on credit cards or high-interest loans. Emergency savings provide a financial cushion that may keep you afloat in a moment of need. If you have debt, having an emergency fund is absolutely vital since it may help you avoid borrowing more. The emergency fund is an essential part of one's overall personal financial planning strategy. If you have a good emergency fund, you can get through any bad patches in your life with the least amount of disruption to your financial well-being and investment plans possible. However, one should be cautious not to spend that money on frivolous items and should make certain that it is readily available when required. That's all from today's video. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching and let us know in the comments whether you're already saving for an emergency fund or if you're thinking about it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.